Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. The Saints announcing the dismissal of 3 offensive staffers, wide receiver coach Cody Burns, offensive analyst Bill Bicknell, and offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael. Of course, that's the one that's going to move the needle. This is not shocking in any way. This is something that many have suggested could be coming as we waded through this disappointing Saints season. Pete Carmichael, as you know, has been with the Saints for 18 years and was the right-hand man of Sean Payton on the offensive side of the football for better than a decade and a half. And his dismissal, while, as I said, not surprising, is evidence that the Saints feel they need to go in another direction, and I think is evidence of something that most of us believe, that once Sean Payton moved on, that chain of command got bumped up a little bit, and Dennis Allen went from controlling the defense to controlling the organization, and Pete Carmichael went from right-hand man to the general of the offense. Both of them were very, very competent in their previous roles, and the results have not been as good when they've been elevated. In my opinion, this decision was made probably midway through the season. That's my opinion. If you look at the Saints' first 7 football games this year, and you exclude the domination of New England, which I understand is unfair, but I'm very openly giving it to you as a caveat because they scored 34 points in that game and they dominated a terrible New England team. But if you take the other 6 games in the first 7 weeks, the Saints averaged 16.5 points per game. They were largely inept on offense, even in wins against Carolina and Tennessee. And it just looked clunky and disorganized. They couldn't run the ball. They stunk in the red zone. Derek Carr looked uncomfortable. It was bad early on. Now, the last 6 games, where the Saints kind of turned it on there late and gave you hope that maybe they could get into the playoffs and win this bad division, in the last 6 games, they scored 29 points per game. So I kind of thought that, like Gail Benson and Dennis Lausa and Mickey Loomis have evidently decided that there was enough good late in the season to suggest things were on the right track, so they're going to keep Dennis Allen. I figured Dennis Allen might look at this 29 points per game. Derek Carr with an incredible passer rating and fantastic numbers over the last month when he finally got healthy and go, look, we're on the right track. I don't think most who pull for the Saints or cover the Saints necessarily felt that way, but I would not have been surprised at all if Dennis Allen would have suggested that. But he's moved on. If you look at the Saints offense from 2023, statistically it doesn't look atrocious. And I realize that's not exactly a high bar to clear. They were 10th in the league in points per game. Right in the middle, 14th in the league in yards per game. They were 12th in the league in passing yards per game. So top half of the NFL in points and yards and passing yards. Yards per, and okay.
I wonder how many of those yards and points came while they were down 2 or more touchdowns.
That's part of the deal. Absolutely part of the deal. And part of that is the fact that they couldn't run the ball at all. 21st in the league in rushing yards per game, 31st in the league in rushing yards per attempt, almost dead last there. And then in the red zone, they were so bad for the first half and very, very good at the end, and the net there is 18th in the league. But they just weren't good enough. And my suggestion, which has been my suggestion since Halloween, basically, would have been for the Saints to go in a completely different direction from a coaching perspective all the way. Because you had a very, very poor record in Dennis Allen's first year as head coach. Then in his second year as head coach, you upgraded the quarterback position. You stayed relatively healthy by NFL standards. You were handed the second easiest schedule in the NFL, in easily the worst division in the league, and you didn't get it done. And to me, there is no evidence that Dennis Allen will get this done. Not from his time with the Raiders, not from his time with New Orleans. None. That doesn't mean it can't happen. There's just no evidence to support it. The evidence is they never get it done. They don't get it done in the silver and black out west. They don't get it done in the black and gold down south. But the organization, which so strongly believes in continuity, has determined that they're going to prioritize that over the evidence that's in front of them. And the fall guy for all of this is Pete Carmichael. Certainly, you can't glean that Cody Burns and his ability to develop wide receiver talent or the inability to develop it is why the Saints were poor this year and finished 9-8 and didn't make the playoffs. No, I think Rashid Shaheed's developed just fine. I think Chris Olave's developed just fine. I think Michael Thomas can't stay on a football field.
A.T. Perry was pretty good.
A.T. Perry did a nice job late in the season, certainly. Bob Bicknell, I don't even know what Bob does. Offensive analyst, somehow he ended up on the chopping block today. Obviously, there was a message sent to Dennis Allen, hey, we gotta make some changes on the offensive side of the ball. Do what you think needs to do. And they move on from Pete Carmichael, Cody Burns, and Bob McNell. Now, I'm not going to speak from a position of authority on Ronald Curry's acumen in game planning and calling plays. He's the passing game coordinator. He works with the quarterbacks. And the passing game, as I illustrated by those numbers a little bit earlier, was okay. And it was certainly pretty good and efficient late in the season. But I will balk at the notion that they should elevate him and just fill in your wide receivers coach and keep the ship moving. I will balk at that. Stop doing that, Saints. Drew Brees does not play here anymore. Sean Payton does not coach here anymore. Please stop elevating people from one position to the next. They get out of their depth and it doesn't work. Go get somebody to come in here and change stuff. If you're not going to change the head coach and you're going to keep the defense the same and you're going to keep moving forward with this quarterback and this core nucleus of players, get some new blood in the coaching staff and make some changes and get with the modern NFL. Pete Carmichael was here 18 years ago. It was an I formation league. Get somebody that comes from this Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel tree that can do some things that are a little bit more creative. Again, you don't come from me as the listener for the all 22 angle on NFL football. I'm not telling you what they did right or what they did wrong. I'm just telling you I look around the league and I see young, innovative coaches winning a lot of football games and scoring a lot of points. Seems like something the Saints should be a little bit interested in. You still got some guys that can play on that side of the ball with the ball in their hands. The offensive line's a bit of a mess. And I guess you could suggest the jury's still out a little bit on Derek Carr for some. I just think he's like the 14th best quarterback in the league, and that's what he is. I'd rather have him than Bryce Young. I'd probably rather have him than like Kyler Murray. And there are plenty of guys down the back end that I don't think are very good. I'll take Derek Carr over Sam Howell in Washington, okay? But he's not going to be the game-changing, franchise revolutionary quarterback towards the top of the NFL. So you've got to get somebody in there that makes up for that gap between the 15th quarterback and the 4th quarterback with some great creative play calling. Look at the position that Matt LaFleur put Jordan Love in late in the season and what he got out of it. I could have made 2 of those touchdown passes against Dallas because the scheme was great. Go get someone outside the... I'm not even going to give you names today. That's not even the point. But if the Saints continue to sit there and elevate people and elevate people and elevate people, and Ronald Curry is next up, you just tell me you're just not a serious organization. That you just want to keep the club together and keep it, and you think you're really close. You're not close. You're not. Go get a real offensive coordinator. Not Sean Payton's right-hand man who didn't even want the job. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.